Hey kiddos, glad you came for a reading lesson, literacy lesson, journal lesson today, whatever we want to call it today. For today's lesson, you're going to need your reader-writer journal, a pen or a pencil. I usually choose a pen so you can see it under the camera, and a book about poetry or a poetry book or a book of poems. You can have a real paper book like this one. We're going to look at On the Wing by Douglas Florian today, or if you have another way to find a poem in a magazine or on Epic or some other digital format, that is fine too. But today we're going to talk about how poets use line breaks and white space to show you how to read a poem. So let's get started. So line breaks can help you group certain words together. Instead of stringing all the words together in a sentence or paragraph form, the author might want you to break words up into certain groups. It also tells you to slightly pause, to pause slightly, kind of like a period or a comma. It also makes the poem sound a certain way. So line breaks will stop you from reading without using punctuation and help you read the poem in the way the author intended. So line breaks are just the end of a line where the sentence doesn't stop necessarily, but pauses to have you pause. Next, we'll talk about white space. On this slide, it's pink space, but white space is where there is nothing. A white space might separate different parts of the poem, maybe lines or stanzas or verses. And it tells you to pause a little longer. So if you have breaks between stanzas or verses, you pause a little longer than you would when you have a period at the end or some kind of ending punctuation. So let's go to our journal. This is where you need to have your journal. So here's my writing journal, and of course I have my pen. But first I want to take a look at my poetry book by Douglas Florian. This one is On the Wing. We've read this one before. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. It is a super fun book, and I have a couple of poems marked in here for pages to show you what we're looking at today. So this first one here I have marked is The Hill Mynah, and I'll read it out loud to you. This one does have punctuation in it, but it also has line breaks. And so this is kind of what you might hear when someone uses the white space and the line breaks to read the poem as maybe the author intended. The Hill Mynah. I squawk, I talk, I even sing. My voice can mimic anything. In any tongue I can converse. I gab, I blab, I'm never terse. I echo every word that's said. A tape recorder's in my head. That's fun. And then this other one here is about a quetzal. And I really liked this one because our author, Douglas Florian, used the white space inside to show the shape of a quetzal's tail. And we actually read it kind of in a funny way. The quetzal, the fluorescent emerald tail of the quetzal grows, lots of space here, as long as a bird tail getzel. Kind of a funny word the author made up there so that it could rhyme with quetzal. So in your reader-writer journal, you're going to be on the reader notebook side, and you're going to turn back to your mini lesson notes section. Pause the video here if you need to grab that and find that section. And then I've marked my page because we've got all these notes in here we've been doing in all of our lessons. And make sure that you are writing the date in here. I think I'm correct at 2/17. I could be wrong. Write the correct date there. So poets use line breaks and white space to show you how to read a poem. So what I want you to do today is find 1 or 2 or 3 poems and decide if you think that the author was trying to use white space or line breaks or both. And then I want you to write the title of the book and the author, and in my case I will write On the Wing by Douglas Florian. And I'll open up my book here. And in this poem, The Emperor Penguins, I can see line breaks but no punctuation on the ends of the lines. And so that tells me that the author is trying to use line breaks to help me read this poem as he intended. So I'm going to write The Emperor Penguins because that's the name of the poem. And remember, if you're copying something, I'm expecting it to have perfect spelling because it's right in front of you. The Emperor Penguins. And I think this author is using line breaks for this space for this poem. So make sure that's in your journal. 1 or 2 or 3. I would love to see 3, but 1, of course, is acceptable. And if you could bring that book back with you to school on your next in-person day, we would all love to see that book and read that poem that you've got. I cannot wait to see what you come up with and what you find. See you next time.